Hello partners, my name is bpeduptk and I will be your presenter of today in our video. Now, before we start the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, don't forget to hit the thumbs up for this video, and also click on the subscription bell to get more information about best partner education. Okay, now let's get into the video. Okay guys, today what we're going to discuss about is to dig deeper inside the listening test of IELTS, particularly the section 1. In this video, we will dig deeper and try to dissect about the section 1, okay, how to do it, and then I will give you the practical tips on how to handle the question in section 1, okay? But first thing first, let's see on the screen here, guys. I want to introduce you to the sample question here. We got the sample question from the Cambridge IELTS Academic 14 here. So it's a very good resource for you if you want to practice IELTS yourself at home and also to have the independent learning by yourself, okay? Now, as you can see here, guys, this is the example that I can show to you. As you can see, section 1, okay, there are 10 questions. Mostly in listening IELTS, particularly in section 1, you will have that question 1 and 10 in section 1, okay? Now, as you can see also here, it's in form of, well, it's in the form, the question form is form completion, okay? And there are 10 questions, as you can see here, and you have to answer it by filling the blanks here given on the screen on this example questions, okay? Now, what to do first in IELTS, okay? Especially in IELTS listening, okay? Some people will try to answer it based on instinct. Instinct here means that they will just look at the questions and try to figure it out, but actually that's the wrong steps. The first steps that you have to do, and the very most important thing that you have to do, is definitely you need to see the instruction, okay? Now, where is the instruction? Simple, it's here, below, the complete the form below. Usually they are located here, either it's complete the form below or complete the notes below, okay, depending on the type of question itself. Now, as you can see here, the instruction mentioned write one word and or a number, meaning that possibly the answer would be one word or a number or perhaps a combination of both, okay? Now, how do we figure that out? Well, I will tell you later, so hang on there, okay? Now, as you can see here, after you see the instruction, what do you have to do? Simple, you have to see the topic here on top of the form here. As you can see, they will talk about crime report form, okay? Usually in the audio itself, and later on I will play it for you guys, you will also hear the paraphrase version of the topic here given in this sample question here, okay? Now, it is very important for you to understand that, and it is very important for you to understand, to comprehend what are they going to talk about. That way, when you listen to the audio, you will be more prepared and you will also be able to understand easily on what they're going to talk about, because you know what they're going to talk about, and you just have to simply understand the context of the audio itself, okay? That's for number 2. Now, number 3, what do you have to do? In the IELTS listening test, they will give you usually a specific instruction on which number that you have to do first, okay? And you will also be given a time to check. So they call it check in the audio, but actually what they mean by check here is actually trying to figure out what's the possible answer for that one, okay? Now, usually it's 1 minute or so, okay? So in this particular sample, we're going to focus with number 1 until 3, okay? Now, after you read the instruction, after you understand the topics, okay? And then the third thing that you can do is simply to try to predict, okay? Try to predict what will be the answers, okay? Now, as you can see here on the screen, let's see for number 1 first. In number 1 here, where is the clue here? The clue is located on the left side of this form. As you can see, on the left side, it's the personal information here. It's nationality. So nationality here is going, one of the nationalities would be the answer for number one. Okay, if you think about nationality, you will be having the thoughts over maybe Brazilian, Australian, American, British, let's say Indonesian, okay, and the other nationality that you can think of. Okay, so if you have that in your mind, then you will be prepared. You only have to wait for the audio to mention that answer. But remember, they will always give you a kind of like diversion in which I'm going to explain about that during the audio play later on. Okay. Now, for number one, it's possibly a nationality. So if you figure that out, then you just have to prepare for the audio. Okay. Now, in the second questions here, guys, the clues is reason for visit. Okay, a reason why Louis Taylor here wants to visit. Okay, and in here it mentioned business, and then after that to buy antique, blah blah blah. So it's possibly an object. It's possibly a noun as well. So, but what noun? What word is that? We can simply see the clue here. The clue here is actually in antique. Okay, try to remember that everything here is actually mostly maybe 70% or so. It's a paraphrase from the audio or a synonym. Okay, mostly. So if you think about it, if you think about the clue before, antique. So what would be the synonym of antique? Well, there are plenty. We can say old, ancient, historic. So stuff like that. A word that is pretty much similar with the word antique itself. Okay. So all you have to do is to keep on guard with that synonyms. And I'm pretty sure that they will mention the synonyms, not the word antique itself. They might use antique, but maybe the position of the word itself is not like in the question form in here, in the screen here. Okay, now in number 3 itself, so what's the clue? The clue is current address. Okay, if you talk about address, so possibly a street, possibly a name of the building, and in this case it's possibly a name of a building because they mentioned apartments here and there's a number as well. Okay, so they are not going to have a double answer. For example, what I mean by double answer is they mentioned that number here, so it's not possible if they put another number in here. Okay, and if we talk about streets, if we talk about the street's name, then why they put the apartments there? So possibly it is related something with the name of the apartments or something related with that one. Okay, now I will give you guys, okay, an audio play, particularly in this section. Okay, now we'll give you the examples over it, and I hope that you can also try to answer it at home. And after that, we're going to discuss it together. Okay, all right. I'm going to play the audio.
Hear a woman reporting a theft to an officer in a police station. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3.
Okay, as you can see there in the audio, as I mentioned before, they will instruct a specific numbers that you need to finish first. Okay, but they do not mention how long to check the answer. But it is actually a 1 minute. So in that 60 seconds, you have to try to figure out. You try to predict what will be the best answer for that one, or just perhaps to prepare on what kind of words that will come up from the audio, so that you can easily answer the question. Okay, so we'll give you time to prepare. It's 1 minute. Don't worry.
you will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Okay. Usually they will have this. They will have example first on how to answer it. But in some cases, in the real examination, they do not have that example. So just keep in mind that possibly if you ever got you experience a real test before and there's no such things like this one example, then don't worry. It's sometimes they have the example, sometimes not. So it's just technical issues actually.
Good morning. What can I do for you?
I want to report a theft. I had some things stolen out of my bag yesterday.
I'm sorry to hear that. Right, so I'll need to take a few details. Can I start with your name?
Louise Taylor.
The woman's name is Louise Taylor. So Taylor has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3.
Now good luck.
Good morning. What can I do for you?
I want to report a theft. I had some things stolen out of my bag yesterday.
I'm sorry to hear that. Right, so I'll need to take a few details. Can I start with your name?
Louise Taylor.
Okay, thank you. And are you resident in the UK?
No, I'm actually Canadian, though my mother was British.
And your date of birth?
December 14th, 1977.
So you're just visiting this country?
That's right. I come over most summers on business. I'm an interior designer, and I come over to buy old furniture, antiques, you know? There are some really lovely things around here, but you need to get out to the small towns. I've had a really good trip this year, until this happened.
Okay. So you've been here quite a while?
Yes, I'm here for 2 months. I go back next week.
So, may I ask where you're staying now?
Well, at present, I've got a place at Park Apartments. That's on King Street. I was staying at the Riverside Apartments on the same street, but the apartment there was only available for 6 weeks, so I had to find another one.
Okay. And the apartment number?
15.
Right.
Okay, can you answer it? Are you able to answer the questions well from number 1 to 3? Okay. Well, I will tell you whether your answer is correct or not. Okay, or your guesses. Don't worry, right? If this is your first time and all of them are mistake, it's fine. Remember that the key to get your target in IELTS, it's not about perfection, but it is about improvement. Okay, so please keep in mind that if you have low score in your IELTS, it doesn't mean that you cannot improve in the future. So please, okay. Now let's see the first question then. Okay, so there are 2 possibilities over the answer for for number 1. Okay, so the first possibility is that she mentioned that there is a word Canadian based on the audio and also British. Okay, so there are 2 possibilities here. One of them is the distractor. Okay, one of them is a distractor. So if you are not carefully listening to the audio, then you might get tricked over this one. Okay, now let's see here. Let's repeat the audio, right? And see whether the answer for number 1 is Canadian or British.
Can I start with your name?
Louise Taylor.
Okay, thank you. And are you resident in the UK?
No, I'm actually Canadian, though my mother was British.
Okay. Louise mentioned that I'm actually Canadian, but my mother is British. Keep in mind that this personal information is about Louise, so it's not about her mom. So basically the answer is Canadian because that's her nationality, because she mentioned that I'm Canadian. Okay, so the distractor here is British, not Canadian. That's for number 1. Okay, do you get it correct? If you got it correct, good for you then. Okay, now let's get into number 2 then. In number 2, the answer is probably a furniture or old. Okay, so there are two. One of them is the distractor, and if you guys listen to the audio carefully, then you know which one is the distractor, okay, and which one is the true answers. So now let's see whether your answer is correct or not.
And your date of birth?
December 14th, 1977.
So you're just visiting this country?
That's right. I come over most summers on business. I'm an interior designer, and I come over to buy old furniture, antiques, you know? There are some really...
Okay. Oops, sorry, furniture, not furniture. Okay. Now, based on the audio before, she mentioned that she wants to buy an old furniture. An old furniture. Did she mention the word antique? Let's see.
lovely things around here, but you need to get out to the small towns. I've had a really good trip this year.
Okay, so she probably mentioned antique as well, right? But the point is, the answer is furniture, okay? Because the word old here is similar with antique, okay? So that being said, the answer is furniture, not old, okay? That's for number 2. Now, what about number 3 then? Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry. First of all, I almost forgot. So, first of all, in number 3, there are 2 possible answers. So, the first one is Park, and the second one is King Street. So, let's see which one is correct.
Until this happened.
Okay. So you've been here quite a while?
Yes, I'm here for 2 months. I go back next week.
So, may I ask where you're staying now?
Well, at present, I've got a place at Park Apartments. That's on King Street. I was staying at the Riverside Apartments on the same street, but the apartment there was only available for 6 weeks, so I had to find another one.
Okay.
Okay, so there are 3 possibilities, okay? There is a Park, King Street, and Riverside, if I'm not mistaken, there, okay? All right, now which one is the true answers? There are 2 distractors, by the way. However, you can simply eliminate King Street because of what? If you go back to the instruction and if you read the instruction carefully, this is why, guys, you need to read the instruction carefully. Remember that it's only one word. Meanwhile, in King Street, there are 2 words. So it is a no-go or it is absolutely wrong. Okay, so there are 2 possibilities now, Park and Riverside. Which one is the correct one? Well, one of them is distractor, obviously. And remember that she mentioned that I stayed at the Park Apartments. She mentioned Riverside, but Riverside is actually the one that she intended, but not the one that she's staying now. So with that being said, then the answer is Park. Okay? Now, do you get all that correct, guys, from number 1 to 3? Well, if you follow my 4 steps before, my 4 practical steps before, then I think that you will be fine, okay? Let me remind you again. Remember that first thing first, you have to read the instructions. Second of all, understand the topic, listen to the topic, or simply read the topic or the headings of the form or the note completion or whatever type of question it is. The third one is try to use that 1 minute to predict the questions or analyze the clues, because the clues are actually surrounding this report form, okay, or these questions. It is in form of the crumbs, okay. So all you have to do is to follow the crumbs. You have to follow all that small pieces of clue to try to figure out the possible answer for each questions, okay. And the fourth one is, of course, to stay focused, okay? I know it's hard it's actually easier said than be done, right? But what I mean by focus here is simply to train your ears to listen on what you have to listen, okay? That is why you need to do step 2 and step 3, because those 2 steps are the one that will help you a lot to stay focused, okay? And And please, just before the test, please to always just let everything go. You have to be professional inside the test room. Everything is meaningless except the test. So that's the best advice that I could give to you guys, because sometimes letting everything go just to stay focused on one thing will definitely help you on answering the questions, or just to simply get the best score for you. Okay, that would be for our discussion today, especially for the IELTS. Okay, we're going to continue discussing the section 2 of IELTS listening test, right? So tell me what you think about it. Do you think it's useful for you? Do you think that the tips that I give to you, the 4 practical steps, could help you a lot? Yeah, you can share it in the comment box below. Okay, so thanks very much for your attention, guys. I will see you in the next video, and goodbye, and stay safe, everybody, and always study to be the best, because if you want to get the best result, then you have to have a best preparation. Okay, thank you so much, and goodbye.